Well, good morning, everybody. This one's going to be tough. Welcome, September 1st, 2025. And I have to say first, thank you to my creative force for letting me be alive today. I'm truly blessed. And so are all of you. If you're listening to this, guess what? That means you're probably alive. And you're blessed too. So, getting directly into it, right to the point. There's a couple of disturbing things that I need to address. This is quite possibly of truly existential importance to humanity. And I mean truly existential, life or death important to humans. I don't know what this other force is, okay, that's in control. I don't know what they are. I don't know who they are. But the agenda has been overtly clear. I believe the agenda was stated in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which is interesting because I think that document was actually dictated to individuals who were here by something that's not us, because it's truly inhumane and inhuman at the same time. I don't know if any of you have read that document. It's an interesting read. I don't put stock into where it came from, who it came from. I don't put stock in any of that. But what I do put stock in is the validity of the document. If you look at the document, you read it. It is an outline for exactly what's going on. And this was purportedly written in the 1800s, late 1800s. And if that's the case, that's fine. Whoever wrote it, thank you for allowing us to see the architecture of our ultimate enslavement. Thank you for giving us the heads up, I guess. At least it's there in writing. If people want to say it's fake, this and that, kill the messenger all you want. Fact is fact. These things are empirically occurring. And there's tweaks that have been made along the way, obviously, because, timelines change, etc. But getting to the real meat and potatoes. Now, for purposes of YouTube, etc., all the things that I put in this video are for entertainment purposes. So, I'll let you be the arbiter of your own truth, because the bottom line is we all are anyway. You can take what I have to say at face value, and that's fine. But I, personally, would really, really appreciate if you would read the back of William Cooper's book, Behold a Pale Horse, because he has a very stringent statement there that it is your duty to act or abdicate. The saying, for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. If you're giving your choices away, then you're acquiescing to whatever that evil is. You're allowing it to have power. We've seen this time and time again in different events by different people who have authoritarian rule, and we've seen very deleterious effects to humanity. So the saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely, it may be a trite saying, but it has an absolute direct root in experience and empirical fact. Look it up. If you don't believe me, that's fine. I would rather you not believe me. I would rather you listen to my words, say that I'm full of shit, and then go do your own research. I really would love that. Because then that way, like I said, you become the arbiter of your own truth. And I may set you on a path to where the things that I say may spur you to say, maybe that guy's got a point, and I didn't think about that. That's all I'm here for. I'm just here to make people question authority, reality. Because the bottom line is if you acquiesce 100% to authority, at the end of the day, well, you've given up your right to free will. You've given up your right to control. What I'm coming to, is truly horrifying. And this should terrify every single person, human being that's out there. I hope this reaches you. So, let me begin. So one of the first things that I happened to notice, and this is just recently, I never thought of it. And I guarantee you when I bring this up, most of you haven't thought of it either. So there was a very interesting recent interview with Roseanne Barr and Tucker Carlson. I've come across it on a couple of different channels. I'd like to throw a shout out to J-Maz. I saw it on his podcast. I also saw it on the podcast of The Collective. I'd like to throw a shout out to The Collective and all their members, man. Wonderful set of podcasts, man. Very, very down-to-earth guy. And same with J-Maz, man. I like your interrogative approaches. And I like your commentary. And Segovia, too, man. Love you, dude. You guys are really rocking the boat. And I appreciate all of you. And, of course, you got the big times. You got Danny Jones, and you've got, Dorian. And I love you guys, too, man. You guys are awesome, dude. I love your guests. And very informational, very educational. I appreciate all of you. I like to say great shouts out and lots of love to all of you. I'm going to include you. I'm going to, bump you in my comments because I love you guys. So really quickly, one of the things I discovered, and I hope I don't ruin your candy loving with this. So, I was in the store the other day. I went down to get some gummy worms. And as I'm looking at the packages, the different candy companies and such, I come across something that I've seen literally every time I've gone to the store in the candy section. And so my predilection is with gummy bears and gummy worms, and I love them. And one of my, those are one of my, my more negative choices when it comes to my dietary consumption. But I eat a lot of raw food and a lot of raw vegetables and things like that. And, once in a while, man, I just get the urge for the gummy worm. So I'm over there shopping, and it sparked immediate horror in me. And it was very weird. I had a very strange reaction when I'm in the store of dread. Why? Going back to the interview with Roseanne Barr. So Roseanne Barr is sitting, maybe 15, 20 feet away from Tucker Carlson on a stage during this interview. And there's obviously an audience because she's saying to the audience, like, this is an absolute fact. And she knows this empirically. That, her claim is that people in Hollywood are true vampires. They eat human flesh, really enjoy it, and drink human blood, and enjoy it. Well, if you look at the myth of the vampire, well, that's their sustenance. I get it. And it led me to the idea of, well, if that's what some of these others are, and they're a separate species, and maybe they're definitely not us, but who knows where they're from? Extraterrestrial, under the earth, whatever, it doesn't matter. Myth shows what these things are, okay? I think the last time I heard and read, actually, of a staking of a vampire, it was in the 2000s. And this was in an Eastern European country. And they actually exhumed a corpse, mutilated it, and staked it to its coffin with a wooden stake, right through the heart. And, they didn't take video at the time, not that, but it was absolutely, I think it was in Bulgaria or one of the Eastern Bloc countries. Yes, it absolutely occurred. And unless it's been sanitized, you can look it up. Anyhow, getting back to the point. Sorry, I digress. Point being, there was a candy there. Now, if Roseanne Barr is being factual and honest, which I believe she is, why would you come out with such wild revelation with such a famous and newsworthy host if it had no basis in fact? I mean, Roseanne Barr, her career in Hollywood has been over for quite a while. Why is she going to make inflated claims? How is that going to benefit her? What, it's going to get her like another 100 likes? Really? I mean, come on. No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think she's elucidating some things like statistical numbers of at-risk children, at-risk adults who just vanish. And I'm not talking about disappear and found later. I'm talking about vanish. Disappear. Well, if that's the case, where do they go? There is something ongoing. And noting that things dealing with children have been ongoing time immemorial. And I'm not talking about positive things with children. Those things have been going on time immemorial as well. But so has this negative aspect. And it's horrific. And it's even worse to think about if you're a parent. Because there's a mechanism in place that's allowing this to occur. That's the horrific part. Because if there was not a mechanism in place to allow this to occur, all those kids wouldn't be missing. Now, we only have numbers, pretty much like the pictures of Walmart. When you go on your way out the door, you see all those displaced, missing kids, right? It's like milk cartons. Why isn't that the thing on Pepsi cans? When you go to the store and you pay $8 for a 12-pack of soda, the least they could do is put 12 missing children on those cans. Said if you see one of them, you can do something. No, nothing like that. Why? Kind of intriguing. Those are sold all over the world. What about the missing kids in other countries? You get the numbers for those too. Probably not. Now I'm going down a very disturbing rabbit hole here. And this is where it leads into the lanes of the shopping mart. So I'm there searching for my gummy worms, getting back to the original story. And I come across a product I've seen multiple times, and I don't honestly remember who the manufacturer is. But you better believe, after this video, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find out what else they make. So, gummy worms, gummy bears, gummy whatever. The one thing that I saw that disturbed me was, of all things, Sour Patch Kids. Sour Patch Kids. Let me say it one more time. Sour Patch Kids. Did it become an interest to anyone that you and your children, while snacking on a seemingly innocuous gummy snack, is referenced cannibalism? You're literally eating children. Think about this. You are eating children willingly. Okay. That's very disturbing. Of all the visages, of all the imagery in the world, you could have gummy cars, gummy bicycles, gummy whatever. Why children? What is the overt message? There's this a thing about the karmic retribution, which I don't believe for a moment. Okay? And if somebody tells you they're going to do something to you in plain sight, they don't receive the blowback from it karmically. I have a feeling that that's a bunch of smoke. Because when you intentionally do something, well, those intentions are what carries the conscious weight. When you intentionally do something and you follow through with action, that's where the fruit of karma begins. And there's this misnomer about karma and the fruit of the karma. The karma is the activity itself. The fruit of the karma is actually what becomes of it. So you reap what you sow. So you plant the fruit, you reap the harvest. Okay? That's what it boils down to being. And that is where that phrase comes from. There's that kind of misnomer in our culture about the idea of karma. We don't really, unless you have done any study into Buddhism and Hinduism and anything of that nature, to really understand what the idea of karma is. Karma is the action itself. The fruit of the karma is what becomes of that action. Okay? So if you're looking at, being reprised against, etc., it doesn't matter if you tell somebody what you're going to do to them or not. What matters is the action that you follow through with. Okay? I don't think these things, I don't know what their consciousness is. And I don't know what laws apply to them. Because societically, and this is across our civilization, our laws and their laws are different. They are. Go steal from a woman at Walmart. Go steal one of their products. Make a fake UPC code. Try it. Okay? They have their own private police force. They will take you down in the store and they'll hold you for police. Okay? And this is militant, man. We are coming to a place where all of the wicked dictators of the past have been studied meticulously. The mistakes that they made have been very thoroughly researched so that those same mistakes wouldn't be made in this new capture of humanity. Okay. Now getting to the existential threat part. If you want to look up a really interesting book, look up IBM and the Holocaust. Okay. Or IBM and the Nazis. Something like that. They discuss a machine that IBM came out with called the Hallertau machine. It was a punch card computing machine that cataloged individuals of the Jewish faith. Okay. Horrific. This is just this is like worst of whatever this is, humanity or whatever's doing this. This was their initial adaptation of how to catalog individuals. And where did they put them? Well, in cattle cars. Interesting choice of transport. Cattle cars. Well, they'll do it at night. Nobody's around watching. How could they be? You have this dictatorial group in control. So nothing to see here. They load people onto these cattle cars and bring them to these hidden places. Kind of sounds like black sites to me with the CIA. That's really, really, really disturbing that we learned from that. To create an advantage for the time we're in now, to do very similar things. This trend can't be unnoticed. As I said, it's in plain sight. The amount of people that go missing does not decrease yearly, it increases. How? There's no oversight into this at all. There can't be. This is pure evil. That's what it is. It is pure abject evil. So, getting to this point, why was I bringing any of this up? So, the Hallertau machine. Let's take a look. So it was a punch card computing machine, right? And it would catalog individuals. No. Sex. Race. Ethnicity. And obviously they all had one thing in common, purportedly. That being the case, well, they were rounded up. Much like cattle. But cow cars. How interesting. Food animals ring a bell. Well, I remember there being a book that said that eating with a human is like eating with a dog or an animal. And then how humans should be treated is as food animals. That's very disturbing. Anybody that reads those things and applies them, well, their humanity immediately becomes questionable because human beings are very compassionate. And unless you've been conditioned to nullify your compassion at your own detriment, which if you ask anybody who's ever killed somebody, that's exactly what that did. Because now you're scarred forever. And you know at that point you've crossed the line. And, that's the line in the sand, that you can't come back from. Once you've done that, you've done it. And it's what that is. It's an indelible mark. Getting back to this. So, the disturbing trend that I witnessed has been on these videos of these interesting people who react to things. And the reaction was, how about I say it like this? The reaction that I received from different commentators and influencers, because they had multiple other, snippets of TikToks in their work, didn't receive, in my opinion, the amount of time that it could have received for what it is. This isn't just biblical prophecy. And it seems like there's some kind of race to fulfill prophecies in the book of Revelations. And I don't know what that's about. Either, the prophets were absolutely correct, okay? Or somebody's making this a self-fulfilling prophecy, And if they're making it fulfill itself, that's just, if you look at what the forces are they're talking about, that is part and parcel with what this is. That's, part of the horror of what's in that book. So, what I'd like you to reference first, there's a publication called The Gray Zone. It's an independent news publication. There was an article in there about something that was unveiled in India. And it was a biometric system by which people got biometrically scanned, and their biometrics were utilized with a card to perform in commerce. It's ongoing. They've got over 1.5 billion, with a B, people who are tethered to the system. Okay? Now, the architect behind that is a guy that we all know. This thing that calls itself Bill Gates. I don't know what this thing is. I don't know. But it's not us. Whatever it is an it to humanity. You can just write this thing off as not being one of us, because it's not. By its actions alone, it has distanced itself from humans. So, whatever your assumed name is to fit in to humanity thing, I call you out, because you're not us. You're an abomination among us. And it's a fact. Anybody who's watched this thing's track record, it's abominable. It's trying to kill humanity. We're talking an existential threat to humanity. And if you think I'm kidding, look at the unveiling of what it offers up. First of all, you have to understand, this is an ongoing project in India. These people are tethered to this. The system that they're tethered to has already killed people. Killed people. Has starved them to death. Starved them to death. Does that ring a bell with what's going on in Gaza? That's horrific. Yeah. Talk about one of the worst ways to die. Well, why would all the neighbors feed them? Because all the neighbors are giving exactly the amount of food that they can have. It's all calculated. With horrific precision. This is abject human slavery on a worldwide scale. This is going on in a foreign country. We don't get news from these countries for real. I mean, whatever happened to world news tonight, man? Whatever happened to us getting a glimpse of what's really going on in the rest of the freaking world, man? You know? We're being sequestered in our own little bubble of America. And we're exceptional. This and that. You know? We better check our egos at the door on this one. Seriously. Take your exceptionalism, throw it out the window for a minute, and just think we're all part of something bigger. We're all human. Okay? We need to start thinking about human exceptionalism. About what we have that they don't. And it's love. They don't know it. It is a foreign thing to them. Whatever these things are, they don't understand compassion, they don't understand caring, and they don't understand love. They just don't understand it. It is a foreign thing to them. And they hate it. They hate it. I mean, think about this thing. With the number 3, the 3 after its name. How horrific. What a sad thing, man. What a sad abomination. I pray for you. I really do. I pray that you come to find joy without hurting others. Or go back to where you came from, man. Do us all one. Do us all a solid. Just leave. Go away. All of you. Just leave. I mean, your time here should be up, man. You know? I mean, you guys have been playing this game for thousands and thousands of years. You know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. What, you think that because you're refining your machinery, your tech, you're refining your tech, that's what's going to be the answer? There's a spiritual component that you guys are missing out on, man. And you know what? You'll never find it because you don't know it and you don't have it. I feel for you. So getting back to what this thing is doing. Here. The proposal is to end cell phones by a digital tattoo, electronic tattoo with nanocapacitors. It sounds all wonderful. And, oh, wow, isn't this great? I'm going to have a phone and, you know, I won't have to worry about dropping it ever and blah, 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 blah. Right. It's going to be what? Tattooed on you? Woven into your skin? Think of the implications of this very, very carefully. My first idea is for everybody to just sit there and say, F you. You know, really. Like, no, we're not doing none of this. Take your technology, put it on yourself, and enjoy it. Okay? Leave it at that. Just think about this. It's not going to control your ability to just do commerce. Are you serious? Think about the black box our cell phones are now. We don't even know what they do. We don't know what the technology is inside of these things, man. I mean, the engineers in these companies are compartmentalized, man. It's like black projects. You think they know what the assembly is at the end? What all their little, you know, science is? With all the cognitive stuff that we've been learning and all the, you know, voice to skull technology and blah, 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 blah. You don't think it's going to have that? You don't think it's going to be able to put thoughts right into your fucking head? I mean, it's connected through your skin. Dude, your skin, if you're unaware, okay, your skin is the largest organ that you have. okay? Look it up. Please, please, doubt me on everything that I say. I am just full of shit, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to disbelieve me so much that you go on your internet and you look every fucking thing that I say up. Okay? I want you to know I'm just full of shit, dude. I really, I wish my eyes were brown, because that's how full of shit I am. Okay? It like comes up to here. All right? So don't believe me, please. But do your research. Believe what you read, not what I tell you. So going back to this, there's been very many approaches to health using vibration and frequency. Okay, so I'm talking about sound, ultrasound, infrasound. All those technologies have been utilized. There's been projects by DARPA for every single one of them. These guys can go literally point by point through the sound spectrum, dude. They've had that kind of money. They have that kind of time. They have those kind of scientists that are meticulous like that, man. I know. I worked for a government agency for a while. I watched the science that was going on, and it was really impressive. And these guys are very dedicated. And they're honest. They're hardworking guys. Most women just want to go home to their families. And they're going to get swept up in this net too. So think of this. Now I'm just talking about cognitive stuff. I'm just talking about brain stuff with this part, like voice to skull. Well, on the Jesse Ventura show, when he had his show Conspiracy Theory, look that show up. Look up the Voice to Skull Technology show. It's an actual product. It was used on him. Okay? In the show. This was on TV. So here's where it comes to a real interesting part. Now, you realize this thing is going to be tattooed. It's going to be in your skin. Nanocapacitors are going to, oh yeah, you're going to power it. Oh yeah, the battery will never run out. Well, I don't know. I've had my phone for a few years. Battery hasn't run out yet. I recharge it. Well, your phone will never die. It'll never go low. What about when you're sick? What when you don't feel like getting up? Will it give you electric shocks to wake you up at 8 in the morning for your fucking job? I mean, think of this. Dude, just think of the awful, horrific applications that this thing has for us. I mean, everything that's come out of its main company are all horseshit. I mean, really. It's junk. It just is. But through clever marketing, this thing is poised above us all, like a vulture, waiting to pick the flesh off our bones. And that's what I liken it to. Because this thing is carrion, man. It is just plain carrion. And it's unfortunate. For us. Not it. So get this. So aside from that part, let's say you forget to set your alarm, right? Well, here's your boss. Say, hey, you got to work an extra shift. Remember, these things are always on now. You can't take the battery out. Unless you laser scalpel the thing from your fucking arm, right? So think about this. Put the thinking cap on, as the old teacher used to say. What else will it be able to do? Interesting. Well, if you look, it'll be able to see your vitals in real time. Huh. Isn't that awesome? So I don't need a Fitbit anymore. Oh, when I go jogging, well, it'll tell me what my heart rate is. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that great? I don't even know who the guy is who goes, tell me more. I love that guy. I love him. I want to find out who he is. I just love him. Well, tell me more. Yeah, tell me more. Well, it can do all these wonderful things. It can tell you your biometrics. You know, your iris will actually unlock your phone. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, sure. Great. Here's the question to ask. Okay? You've got this dude, Larry Fink, who's in charge of BlackRock. Okay? Nobody really talks about him, but he's the arbiter of a lot of these terrors as well. BlackRock. Military applications, man. Military applications. Of all these things. Military. You can just equate that to killing people. Applications for all these things. Killing people, right? Digital tattoo. You mean to tell me that it takes all your biometric information, right? Oh, that's great. Who gets that information, man? Because it's uploading it somewhere. To the cloud. Who owns the cloud? What is the cloud? The cloud is a set of servers. It's a server farm. That's what the cloud is. The cloud is not an amorphous cloud. They used to call them N-cube networks. That was like the old name for it in the 80s and 90s. This technology goes back way, 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 way far. Okay? So does the internet. Anybody who thinks the internet, freedom of speech, freedom of privacy, blah, blah, blah. Dude, the internet was developed by and for the fucking military for point-to-point communications in an event of nuclear war. Look up the history of the internet, dude. It was called ARPANET, and that was after it was MILNET. Okay? This is a military project and has been ongoing as part of the military-industrial complex and as a part of enslaving you, my friends and family, as humans. Corralling us as fucking food animals. Think about this. If Roseanne Barr was right and these beings are eating us, okay? Well, think about this, man. You already have missing kids, right? So you have a digital tattoo on you, right? That's telling all your biometric information, giving your heart rate and all that. What happens when it all fucking stops? What happens when you go missing and you become the next sacrifice? Well, your shit just stopped. Your heart rate goes to zero, you redline, all that stuff. Who knows you're gone at that point? You're a digital fucking memory, dude. All they have to do is press a button and you're gone. You never fucking existed. You never existed. Your picture won't be up there on Walmart. Dude, your picture will be erased from everything. All your accounts will be gone. You'll be a digital fucking ghost. And you won't even be that. Think about this, man. This is the systems that they own. They own all this. They've been using it for this. This is what I'm saying. We are in the end fucking game, man. We really are. I mean, who cares about UFO disclosure and all this? This is all the fucking smoke. Dude, this is what it's hiding. This is what's behind the veil, dude. It's the machination for massive, massive killing of humans. Massive killing of humans. Think about this part of it. You got the digital tattoo. Wonderful. I can text my friends, all this stuff. Right. Well, it's taking all this information from you. Heart rate, all that stuff. You don't think they're going to be able to tell the doctor, gee, this guy needs to be on psych meds. Gee, this guy needs to be on heart meds. Gee, this guy has high blood pressure. He needs to be on blood pressure meds. Not, gee, this guy needs to eat more green plants. Gee, this guy needs to have a couple of tomatoes every day. Needs to have a little bit more sprouted nuts. Some garlic. It's going to go right into the military-industrial complex's shit. And when they mean industrial complex, they mean the wraparound, bro. They mean medical, insurance, work, all of it. That's what the industrial part of industrial complex is. People don't equate this. They just don't equate it. They run their daily lives in the minutiae of things, and they very seldom get a moment to themselves for higher thought. It's been rigged this way for a reason. If you understand mindfulness, meditation, I suggest, my app of choice is Plum Village. It's free. Very good. And I don't care what your proclivity is for religion, because to me, it's a non-issue. Who cares? The bottom line is that these things are mentioned in all religions around the world, time immemorial, as ways to get back in touch with who you really are. Okay? So they all follow the same thing. They all know the same thing if they're human-based. All right? So, getting back to this interesting idea of a digital tattoo. Okay, so here's the thought experiment. Now, I did a thought experiment earlier in one of my videos, and it wasn't a thought experiment, it was an actual experiment. It was material, and I proved that the phone is listening all the time and uploading that data. Proved it, beyond a doubt. It was a wild way that I did it, and it was funny as hell. And I suggest you watch it, because it really is funny. Dude, a little gross, but it's hysterical. And I couldn't believe the result. I wish I had the forethought to have my phone ready to record the ad that came on following my interesting monologue into my phone. So getting back to the implications. So they can take this data. There's nanocapacitors in there, right? That's what's actually charging the phone. Now, think of this part. You mean to tell me that if you whistleblow, you come out with information that's deleterious to the system, that they can't reverse that amperage that's going into that phone and give you a lethal fucking shock and just end you? Think of that. Think of it. They've got you on a digital leash. It's life or death, dude. This is no joke. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that this can't happen in a day where we're unleashing an artificial intelligence on the world. Okay? Whose intelligence is it? It doesn't say artificial human intelligence. It doesn't say it's learning from a pool of humanity. If it's able to do new math, new physics, where's it getting the data from? This is disturbing, to say the very least. AI should never be allowed in the public sphere until it is proven in a sandbox with the support of citizens like you and me, checking every single aspect of it for flaws. Watch the movie iRobot and tell me I'm wrong. This is where it's coming in. Okay? iRobot, Vicky was the supercomputer, quantum machine, purportedly, that controlled all the other robots, AI. And what happened at the end of the movie? They turn against humans. Excuse me for a moment. Excuse me. Sorry about that. They turn against people. They're not us. They're trying to show us in this film. The AI isn't us. The robots aren't us. But they're here to corral us. To what end? You are only valuable as a slave, as long as you can do the work of a slave. Will we all be set at a certain lifespan? We won't have to worry about life extension. 2050, they're talking about potential immortality, physical immortality. Most people I know live in shit. They're the working class poor because it's set that way by these fucking thieves. by these beings that have been stealing from us since before we were even born. This is a fact. Do your research, please. Consider me full of shit. Please. Please do. Please disbelieve me when I say that when you steal from a retail store, okay, which is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Yes, it is. Okay? Why is the rule there, thou shalt not steal? Okay? Think about when that book was written. All right, let's just say it was written a few thousand years ago. You didn't see Walmart up there. You didn't see, Target stores. You didn't see, 7-Eleven. You didn't see none of that stuff. You had to go to the marketplace, this and that. And you knew who the wealthy merchants were at the marketplace because they had the biggest stall. Where do you think people stole from the most? The marketplace. That was the only place to go. So when people had to live, well, they would just go to the marketplace and wander around. There was no AI cameras. There was none of this horseshit. Why are these places so concerned with people taking what is actually rightfully theirs in the first fucking place? And it really is. If you look at that same book, we were guaranteed these things. Who put their foot in front of the purported gods of this book? Who put their front in front of humanity and said, you gotta stop here and you gotta pay the toll? Yeah, this stuff is all for you, but now it's at a cost, because I said so. Who was the I that said so? Really? Remember, I'm full of shit. Entertainment purposes only, right? Okay. Keep that one. Do your research, though. Please. Please, please, please. I implore you. Man, find fault in everything that I say. And please comment about it. Let me know. Let me know how just out of it I really am. Getting back to the other parts of this. The stink of this fetid invention and the compilation of awful, anti-human, and how would you say, even better, eugenic capacity of this device. Think about it. I mean, really, put the thinking cap back on, man, if you took it off. This thing can read what you are. It will be able, because it will be implanted in you, which means it'll probably be touching blood. It'll be able to analyze your DNA in real time and send it off to some company and let them decide if you're part of what they want or not. The next Aryan race, well, it's on the way. Kalergi plan, anybody? I mean, it's not the Aryan race. It's not what Hitler espoused. It's what Kalergi espoused. Practical ideology, if you don't believe me. Read it translated from German. That's the book. These things weigh heavy on me, because I hope that through light and love we can prevail. We will eventually, but I hope it's without the horror. I hope it can be done without the evisceration of humanity. I think we're a pretty good experiment. And if you wonder where all the other cultures go, super technological cultures, think about this. They go and they disappear. we're heading in the same direction. We're a great civilization. We're advancing. And our technology has actually changed Moore's theory, which was called Moore's Law. Said it every 2 years technology doubles. Now it's every 18 months. It's probably going to be verging into a year. Going to be verging into every 6 months. When AI takes over, it's going to be every day. Every minute. Technology is going to be doubling. Because they can do, quantum computing wise, right? They can do an infinite amount of experiments on the same exact topic simultaneously, right? Across dimensions, purportedly. What about those other dimensions? That must mean if we can reach into theirs, they can reach into ours. And they have been. It's evident. Whatever took over the human shell of that thing, BG3, whatever took over that shell is not us. And it's a far cry. I wish you could know love. I wish you could know compassion. I wish you could know the capacity for kindness. Just think about what a different world we would live in if you chose to apply yourself to kindness, compassion, and love. Our Earth is big enough to support all of us, even with a biological area around us of, a few thousand meters. Being between our next neighbor, whatever. Whatever we need, we have here. This ancient book talks about us being gifted with all this stuff. Like I said, somebody put their foot in front of us and said, wait at this line. We'll let you in when it's your turn. Think about all these citizens in India who are living this hell right now. These people are following the playbook of Revelations. And whether it was just prophecy, and it's just these people following this evil, or if they're working step by step at it, which I think it's more of that. The whole thing of eschatology and all that stuff. It's not the study of the end of the world. It's a study of how to bring it about. Why would people want to end this world? Why? What's the reason in it? What's the end game in it? Well, think about this. Human beings, we're a shell. This body is a robot. We're sitting up here in the command center. And what happens, what's the value to these other entities of this shell? Well, obviously, if it's alive, it provides blood. It provides minerals, the things that we need to survive. If those things are leeches to us, if they're parasites, which they are, if they're parasites of us, that means they need us to survive. Now, here comes with clone aid and all the other stuff. Okay, we just had a kid boo, kid B-U-U. Go look him up. Go look up him unveiling his clone, his Gen 2. Listen to what he says. It's very intriguing. Remember, the entertainment purposes, and I'm full of shit. Just remember this, okay? But look it up and see what the plausibilities are, okay, of this being the case. And see how nefarious these people go. See the nefarious depths to which these people go who don't have an 8-hour day job, who don't have to work for someone else. What do they spend their time doing? I mean, bro, idle hands on the devil's playground. It's These guys have nothing but idle hands. Look what they're doing with it. Digital tattoo. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Your cell phone. Not being able to take out the battery so that it can't monitor you. A wonderful idea. Right? I used to pull the battery from my phone every day, man. And I'm not a fucking joker. Dude, I know this stuff. There's still ways around it right now. You can put your phone in a box all night long. A Faraday cage with soundproofing. It's not going to be able to hear and see whatever. It'll transmit all the data it wants. It's great. Pull it out when you need to use it, put it back in there. Fuck it. It ain't sending no signals out. It's not getting signals in. There's ways, man. There's ways. There really are. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on your own existence. Find what makes you human. Because it's different what they are. It's just different. They have this exceptionalism about them, man. And hubris and mendacity like nothing else. Like nothing else. They infiltrate all walks of life. They're talking about NPCs, right? Like the soulless people, stuff like that. Okay. So think about this. If that's a fact, and there's people that don't carry around this spiritual stuff that we have inside of us, then they don't know love either. Okay? Like in the Matrix. You see the lady in red? Look again. That's where we are. That's where we are. See something, say something. You're an agent of the Matrix, man. You're an agent of the Matrix. There's a term called omerta. Look it up. OMERTA. To go to silence. You won't even have that. Think of the digital tattoo. Think if you're engaged in something against one of the rich people, you're going to steal from them or whatever. You mean to think that this thing won't know that? Your elevated heart rate, your elevated vitals, and it just tranquilizes you until the police arrive. Or it tasers you to the ground and keeps administering shocks until they arrive to take you away for your minority report crime before it happened. I love you, Philip K. Dick. And it's tragic that what you saw is fact. What that man saw when he was under sodium pentothal. Truth serum, by the way. Hallucinogenic truth serum. That's what the boys were using. They were using in dentist offices where he was. He was administered. He was anesthetized. And he blinked out. Go watch his interview. He talks about it. And where he was in a digital prison. He was a slave. And these things were all there. The movies he came back with, the stories he wrote, were actually more appropriate. When they talk about when you have the science director of the White House saying that we've been involved in time manipulation and you guys don't go back and look at, Ingersoll Lockwood's books from 1890s and 1900, when people don't avail themselves of this information, just read some books, man. Do your due diligence. And let's really try our best to not let this experiment in humanity fail. Like in the Matrix. We tried to give you a perfect world. Many crops failed. many crops. So if you're walking around without a soul, okay, you're just fodder for them. They can chew on you and whatever. They're not going to pay a price for it. Because they're affecting a creature that doesn't have the connection. They're creating these things in labs on purpose. You know. So either they get off this place or we get off this place. One or the other. But it's surprising to me to note that there's all these amazing structures. And we're finding now, of course, because don't believe people that went down underneath the pyramids 200, 300,000 years ago. No, don't believe that. No, because they all must have been, sniffing glue. We know better because we have ground penetrating radar. So we're not going to go down there. No, we'll put a machine over the top to see what's down there. And then we'll just sit there and speculate about it for 50 fucking years. Instead of sending hard science down there and actually retrieving the information for humanity. Because this is what they had. They had free power. They, these beings before us that were human, they had a lot of different stuff, man. The continuity lies in that human civilizations have just vanished. And the whole thing about Tartaria and the artifacts that have been left, and the world fairs, and how beautiful these buildings were. If that was a civilization and it's been covered up, just like the obfuscated UFO thing and all that stuff. People are fools to think we're not alone in the universe, and people are more fools to think that the things that are here are beneficent and want good for our race. I'm sure there are some, and I'm sure there are some among those negative beings, but if they don't know love, and they never have, they don't know compassion, and they never have, the only thing they can do is emulate. That's a pretty sad thing. When you have to emulate something you don't understand just to fit in. That's tragic. I don't wish that on anything or anybody. But when we get to the end of this, it's already been a little bit long. But I'd like to wish you all a good morning. And just remember, man, we're in this together. Our connectivity and our bond is what makes us strong and powerful. And by sequestering people alone, like what they did with COVID, you're sequestering people. You're making sure people can't amplify the signal. Because our touch, when you touch another person's hand, you are actually amplifying your signal. They are amplifying their signal. This is just, just take a look at particle physics, okay? We're the particles, basically. We have an energetic field around us. Bioenergy, aura, whatever you want to call it. Chi, prana. Why do all these cultures, why do all these societies have a name for it? And we just sit there in America, by and large, going around going, well, I'm just a me. Well, if you ever walk into a place, you sense like, dude, there's something wrong here. Get out. Because there is something wrong there. There just is. You're a nano computer, dude. Or not a nano, you're a quantum computer. You're associating these things from all these different realities too. So, really, So, use your computational skills wisely. Because soon, we're not going to be able to. If we don't use what we have, we risk it being taken. You know, the immortal words of Rage Against the Machine. If you stand for nothing now, or if you settle for nothing now, you'll settle for nothing later. If you don't take action now, you won't be able to take action later. Well, bless all of you. I hope you can find some humor in your day today. Sorry I didn't elicit that. But this is a very important message. Have a blessed one.